Yes, within this world, for anything we want to accomplish, there will be so many obstacles. And our greatness is how we are enthusiastic with hope and determination to seize the opportunity of that situation and pursue. And that very much applies to spirituality as well. The greater the resistance, the greater the opportunity to develop. Today is Easter Sunday, and all over the world Christians are celebrating the glorious rising of Jesus Christ from the dead. Good Friday, which celebrates his crucifixion, was a major obstacle, serious obstacle. How many of you have faced that obstacle? Being sentenced to death, being tortured and whipped, having to publicly be humiliated by carrying a cross and being through all the crowds, just in a helpless condition, and then so much pain. That's a major obstacle. It was not only a major obstacle for Jesus, but it was a major obstacle for all of his followers. But actually, today, Easter, when he actually rose, made the whole obstacle the main theme of their whole religion. On top of every church and on the chest of most Christians throughout the world, you see the crucifix. What does the crucifix represent? Torture, obstacle, hardship. But because he rose through that obstacle, by the power of God, Christians actually used that incident to develop faith in people's hearts all over the world. It's the prime theme of the whole religion, is the crucifixion and the rise of Christ, is it not? It gives so much spiritual validity to everything he spoke. So Easter Sunday is really a day when we see how from an obstacle can come the most incredible opportunity, the most incredible success and potential. Similarly, our own Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, how much obstacles he faced in his spirit of trying to show compassion to others. I will share with you a very brief history. When he was 70 years old, it was his great yearning in his heart to share the joy and the beauty of his love for God with people all over the world. Because you see, someone who theoretically has a conviction, a religious conviction, they want to spread the word to others, because they have an intellectual conception that this will be good for them. It will also be good for me. And oftentimes that theoretical conviction can become sentimentalism, sectarianism, fanaticism. But for a person who's actually tasting the joy, the fulfillment, the experience of God, the all-beautiful, all-loving Lord within our hearts, for that person feels so much compassion for people who do not have that joy. Because it is the nature of every living being to love. The origin of that love is the soul's love for the Supreme. And in this world, people are struggling and toiling so hard to try to find that experience, that pleasure, but never really find it, because what we're really seeking is within ourselves. So a great person who is actually experiencing, seeing God, loving God, and feeling God's love, to that person, it's not just an intellectual exercise. That person can't tolerate seeing people cheating themselves without it. So in a very compassionate and loving way, simply want to share that with others. So that was his spirit. So his destination was New York City. He had no money. When he left India, he had what was equivalent to $7. Now, how many of you would go abroad with $7? But there was in rupees, 40 rupees. Years later, when he returned to India, he still had the same 40 rupees. Because no one in America in 1965 wanted to even see the sight of a rupee because it was worthless. So he actually came with nothing. He was on a cargo ship called Jaladuta. And as it was crossing the Arabian Sea, he had 3 heart attacks, major heart attacks. And there was no medical facilities. It was a cargo ship, not a luxury liner. It was a cargo ship. When he arrived in New York City, after a month of heart attacks, seasickness, he didn't know anybody. He was living in the Bowery. At that time, the Bowery was the most infamous ghetto in all of America. Now, those are obstacles. He was 70 years old with no one. But every obstacle that came upon him just gave him more strength, more enthusiasm, and more courage. Even though there was another obstacle, people of India he was asking help of, they were writing him and saying, what you're trying to do is impossible. Just come back. It's impossible. So he was alone. But because he pursued, now for his followers and followers of all generations, that is one of the greatest characteristics that make us love him. Is he went through all those hardships, all those difficulties, and all those almost impossible hardships just to give us something wonderful. Within a few years, he had 108 temples. Now there's about 600. He came with a little suitcase full of books. Within a few years, tens and millions of books that he had wrote were being distributed and read all over the world.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on thesacredconnect.com.